I took a video from my balcony of just the smoke and flames just engulfing the whole side of the building. It was really terrifying.
Nearly 100 people are out of their homes after a fire erupted in downtown Salt Lake City. How people living there say they escaped with their lives.
Advance payments of the child tax credit begin to roll out starting next month. And if you didn't file taxes last year, you stand to miss out. Coming up, we'll let you know where you can register.
A string of recent tragedies after several drownings around the state.
Know your limits as a swimmer.
Today, an inside look at how rescue crews work hard to save lives.
And a big change at the top of the Utah Jazz organization.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13's Live at 5 starts right now.
So I woke up to banging on my door, like muted yelling.
Almost 100 people in Salt Lake City are left wondering where to turn now after a massive fire this morning at a condo complex. Thanks for joining us. I'm Bob Evans.
And I'm Kelly Chapman. Fox 13's Sydney Glenn joins us live from the damaged building at 425 South, 1000 East. This is right near the University of Utah. Sydney.
Yeah, so on the front of the building, you're still seeing fire trucks nearly 12 hours later. But we decided to come around back so you could get a really good shot of just the damage you can see on the roof. And in some video you're about to see, you'll see just how bad it looks inside.
425 South, 1000 East. Standing there, the apartment fire. The top 2 floors are on fire, and there is wood falling down.
As flames grew,
Oh my God.
people scrambled to get out.
We've had multiple calls on this.
This is what Lexi Bradfield woke up to
You're asleep one minute and the next your whole building's on fire.
as she watched in horror.
I run out into the living room. I see people climbing down from the upper balconies onto mine, and I had some people running through my apartment, and there's just smoke everywhere.
She's now trying to piece together what happened.
I couldn't hear any alarms or anything, so I just got up all confused, looked out my window, and there was like 6 or 7 fire trucks outside.
And she's not alone.
And I was like, oh my God, grab the dog.
Yeah.
Let's get out.
Now getting a look inside, looking at what is left of where they called home.
Like, I could barely throw on some clothes and grab my keys in my bag. Like, I could barely remember that. It was just super hectic and scary.
These now former residents are wondering, what's next?
And we see these flames and we're like, we better call the insurance company.
Many people were able to come by earlier today to go inside and get some of their belongings before it was completely boarded up. No one will be staying here tonight. That's about 100 people who are displaced. The Red Cross is helping those people, offering food and shelter. We have more information for you over on fox13now.com. Live in Salt Lake City, Sydney Glenn, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Sydney, thank you. The condo was built in 1972 and did not have a central alarm system. Many people were woken up by neighbors or firefighters. 4 firefighters were injured. 2 of them were treated at the hospital. 6 people and 6 pets were rescued. The cause of the fire is still under investigation.
Fires like this certainly a good reminder about one of the most important things a renter can own. That's renter's insurance. Experts say when you are picking an insurance policy, be very specific with which items you want covered. They say most policies will include your apartment or condo, and some can even cover other buildings on the property like garages or storage units. But each policy is different, and you can ask for help from the state if you are feeling overwhelmed.
They can always call the department. My division can help them with, basic questions about what kind of standard coverages there are. And we can certainly get them in touch with agencies and different carriers.
To contact the Utah Insurance Department, go to fox13now.com.
A former Salt Lake City school board member charged with rape and possessing child pornography was in court this morning. 29-year-old Joel Organista was arrested earlier this month after resigning his position with the school board. This morning, Organista's defense attorney argued why he should be released.
As far as being a danger to society by being released, I don't see that, and we can certainly stop any contact he has with the internet and that alleged risk.
But the Attorney General's office disagrees, saying there isn't a way for them to monitor or control what someone searches on the internet, other than through a random encounter with law enforcement. Organista is set to face federal charges tomorrow. His next hearing in state court is scheduled for August 16th.
A police chase this morning led to the arrest of a man in connection with a sexual assault and kidnapping in Salt Lake County. You can see some of that chase captured in this video taken by UDOT's cameras all throughout the valley. It is wild. The driver cut through oncoming traffic to the other side of the road in West Valley City. Multiple police cars followed him, but he refused to stop, making his way through a strip mall and then again cutting right in front of cars. Police say they tried the pit maneuver several times, but it just did not work.
During the pursuit, when he started waving a knife, started going into oncoming traffic, appeared to be intentionally trying to harm citizens. We felt that we needed to continue that to an apprehension.
Police say they have a very restrictive pursuit policy, which is limited to aggravated felons. Officers say the driver matched the description of a suspect in connection with a sexual assault and kidnapping. The chase then ended in Murray after the driver hit a median and then was taken into custody.
Here are the latest wildfires burning around Utah right now. The Antelope Fire is burning west of Cedar City, now 50% contained. Crews are reporting no new growth on this fire, which started over the weekend.
As of today, all road closures put in place for the Benyon Fire have now been lifted. This fire is 94% contained this afternoon. It has scorched more than 8,300 acres in Utah County.
And the Pack Creek Fire near Moab is now 80% contained. It has burned nearly 9,000 acres. Evacuations are still in place for the Holyoke and Dark Canyon areas. The LaSalle Loop Road is now open, but Geyser Pass and Uwa Lake roads are closed. Investigators say this was started by an abandoned campfire.
So many of those fires have been going on for weeks now, Dina. As we round out, here we are, the last week of June, and these temperatures are still so hot above normal.
Yeah, definitely warm and definitely dry. We do have a chance for some thunderstorms this week, but no widespread rain at all. Our fire outlook is still elevated, really, for southern Utah, but critical there, but much elevated for across the state. We've just got, it's like a tinderbox out there. It hasn't rained in like forever, basically. Look at the Ogre Mountain camera right now. We've got the low levels of the Great Salt Lake. You can just see how dry everything is, and the smoke and haze, some of that's in the air too. A few fair weather cumulus clouds today, but none of these cranking out the much needed raindrops at all. And it's a little bit breezy as well. 92 degrees is our current temperature, and our visibility is still at 10 miles right now. So the next few days, we've got warm conditions on the way, and still a warm weekend on July 4th. It'll start to dry out then. We've got thunderstorms in southern Utah. Those will start to be more widespread tomorrow, and then a better chance at thunderstorms statewide on Wednesday, but it should be pretty dry for July 4th. 92 degrees right now in Salt Lake. It's 82 in Price, a little cooler in Evanston at 76, 100 in St. George. Going through the evening here, it's just be warm and a little bit breezy, but it'll be a nice morning though. Temperatures will still be in the upper 60s for much of northern Utah. So coming up, we'll talk about that thunderstorm chance and the holiday weekend forecast.
We'll see you soon, Dina. Thanks. Well, it was anticipated the expansion of the child tax credit would cut childhood poverty in half.
But up to 10% of eligible Utah families are expected to miss out on the benefit. Fox 13's Diego Romo shows us why.
Tens of thousands of Utah kids haven't been getting the child tax credit.
Just this month, the IRS released data showing that 26,000 Utah children have been missing out on the child tax credit in the past. Based on that data, they expect the same amount to miss out on the extension, which sends out half of the credit in advanced monthly payments starting July 15th.
Because their parents simply weren't filing for it.
The reason the IRS expects to miss so many eligible families is because those who would benefit from it most likely do not file federal or state income taxes.
You know, they pay other taxes. They pay sales tax, gas tax, property tax, things like that. But they don't pay federal income tax.
Weinstein says many of the families who don't file believe they aren't eligible for the benefit, but that's not the case.
You receive the credit even if you don't owe anything on your taxes.
So, who qualifies and how do payments roll out? Each child under 5 will get a $3,600 benefit, and children 6 to 17 gets a $3,000 benefit. The payments are split in half, with payments of $300 and $250 coming monthly between July and January of next year. The next half comes in a lump sum of $1,800 or $1,500, depending on the age of your child.
And they'll be sending them out by direct deposit. So it's no fuss, no muss. It's very simple.
Single filers making less than $75,000 per year, heads of household making less than $112,500 per year, and joint filers making less than $150,000 per year all qualify for the full benefit.
If they miss the July payment, no problem. They can sign up for the next one. They'll be going out every month.
The IRS has set up childtaxcredit.gov to help non-filers get enrolled for the credit. They also have resources to check your eligibility if you're curious. If you're adding another child to your family this year, they qualify for the credit as well. So Weinstein says to make sure you update your information with the IRS to receive the correct benefit amount. In Salt Lake City, Diego Romo, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Tax Help Utah is a nonprofit that helps Utahns file state and federal income taxes. Their certified volunteers also specialize in helping families register for benefits such as the child tax credit. Their services are free. We'll link you to them from fox13now.com.
Still to come, the death toll rises in Surfside, Florida, days after a condo complex collapsed. We'll get you up to speed on the search for any more potential survivors.
And how transgender advocates in Utah are reacting after the U.S. Supreme Court decided to uphold a lower court's decision regarding transgender bathroom policies. More than 2,700 doses of the COVID-19 vaccine have been administered in Utah in the past 24 hours. Nearly 1.4 million people are now considered fully vaccinated. That's nearly 54% of eligible people in the state. Utah saw an increase of 254 new cases of the virus today. 220 people are currently hospitalized. That's the highest number since February 26th. 2 more people have died, a man and a woman, both over the age of 65. The U.S. Supreme Court will not hear the case of a transgender student who sued to use the bathroom that corresponds with his gender identity. In doing so, the justices upheld the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals decision which ruled in favor of the student. This case concerns the scope of Title IX, which prohibits schools from discriminating on the basis of sex. Gavin Grimm, a transgender male, challenged his school board in 2015. The school was requiring him to use either a unisex bathroom or the restroom corresponding to his sex assigned at birth.
Transgender Education Advocates of Utah released a statement reacting to this story, saying in part, quote, "The right to safely use a bathroom is inextricably tied to the ability to exist in public and fully participate in a community. Trans youth deserve all of the same access and rights as their peers." Well, many of us take our vacation days for granted, but some service industry workers can't take those days off right now. How that could change soon, still ahead. And when you can't watch Fox 13 News live, you can always watch us streaming online for free. Find us on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. Just search Fox 13 on your device. We'll be right back.
The death toll in the Florida building collapse now stands at 11, but could still rise as search and rescue efforts continue.
And Bob, that effort is now competing against the clock as 150 people remain unaccounted for still this evening on the 5th day of searching. Isabel Rosales reports from Surfside, Florida.
We're over 100 hours post-collapse, and something that has really helped crews progress is a deep trench that they built. That is how they recover these latest bodies. But something that is not helping them today is all this heavy rain. There is a daunting study in contrast here in Surfside. From enormous pieces of concrete, which must be moved.
One of the pieces they were able to pull out because of the trench weighed about 12,000 pounds.
To a specially trained dog brought in from Mexico to search the smallest spaces for any survivors.
We bring the dogs to smell.
Global efforts and round-the-clock hope that rescues could still happen, despite the reality none have for days.
The search continues, and it will not stop until there's a resolution.
More family members of the missing visited the site Monday after about 200 saw the damage for themselves over the weekend.
It was really hard to see up close. There's a lot of rubble.
Amelia Cordoso's aunt, Maria, is one of the many unaccounted for, leaving Amelia, like so many others, to grapple with worry and wondering why this happened.
They knew in 2018 that there was a massive threat to the building, that there was damage, and yet nothing was done.
A structural engineering firm noted in a 2018 report, quote, significant cracks and breaks in the concrete that needed extensive repairs. Meeting minutes show despite the report, 2 days later, a Surfside town official told residents their building was in very good shape.
I still can't believe I saw a building collapse.
And a 6-person team has now arrived. In the team, there are federal scientists and engineers who are conducting a preliminary investigation. But the governor, meanwhile, warns that finding a cause to this collapse will take time. In Surfside, Florida, I'm Isabel Rosales.
A recent survey conducted by Harvard University researchers indicates most service workers can't afford to take time off.
It shows how inaccessible paid leave is for people who work lower income jobs. But as Dan Grossman shows us, help could be on the way.
You have to toast it twice, right? Yes.
Today is training day. For Alyssa Romero, it's her second day on the job at Whole Soul, an organic eatery in Colorado. To her, that means a chance at a fresh start.
It's a big change.
A better start.
And like at the hotel that I worked at last summer, they kind of would put me in these positions I was uncomfortable with. They'd be like, hey, can you stay a little later? Or I had to work 2 positions at one time.
Because of the service worker shortage in our country, many employees have had to take on extra loads at work without proper compensation.
And I actually felt like sort of these days the drive up there was expending a lot more resources each and every day.
Vince Castillo has felt it too. Before working at Whole Soul, he was working at a grocery store and concert venue. He says he'd take on extra shifts, fearing he might lose his job or benefits if he said no.
I have stepped into the role, sort of putting my back against the wall throughout the semester.
The jobs were taxing, exhausting, something Vince hasn't really felt since coming here.
And it's paying off to make all that investment in the employees, because after all, it's our team that's, front-facing with the customers.
Since opening Whole Soul a few years ago, Cole founder Phil Dumonte has found company morale is a key to success, and never more than during the pandemic.
We also increased our benefits. So one thing we offered from day one, we call it the 50 and 50. It's a $50 a month wellness stipend that can be used anything related to your physical or mental health.
That means a gym membership or massage. It can also go towards seeing a therapist. But outside of that, the company has recently offered its employees full health care benefits as well as a $1,000 retention bonus after working for more than 6 months. Pile on unlimited PTO for managers and automatic approval for employees, and it's created a space where the team feels more fulfilled.
Those are the kind of things that we are balancing to make sure that people don't burn out right in the restaurant industry.
The moves have cost more, a lot more, for a business that endured many of the hardships other small businesses have as well. But here, it's allowed the staff to feel better, both on the clock as well as off it.
That makes me feel like I'm cared about, and makes me feel like I'm more in a wholesome view as seeing my whole life outside of work as important as well.
I'm Dan Grossman.
My house is already hot, and so with the added heat over the next few days, I've got kids. I got to make sure they don't get too hot as well.
A tough situation. Millions of Americans right now under heat warnings or advisories in the Pacific Northwest, where many cities are in the triple digits for the 3rd straight day now. Records were shattered over the weekend around the region, with some areas seeing temperatures 40 degrees above normal.
Wow.
Seattle was above 100 degrees for only the 4th time in reported history.
My sister still lives up there. Our family is from there. She's a cellist. I talked to her on Saturday. She had to play an outdoor wedding in 103-degree weather.
That's awful.
In a black outfit.
Oh, no.
For 3 hours.
Yeah, the people getting married. I mean, just But to have all the guests just overheating like that.
Not expecting it. I mean, the odds were in your favor that it was not going to be
Seattle
anywhere near that.
typically, you know, in the Northwest in the 60s and 70s
Yeah,
in the
that's
summer,
exactly right. Yeah, summer usually comes on a Tuesday up there.
That's right, Bob. All right. Well, let's take a look at those temperatures now, though, in the Pacific Northwest, because they're impressive. Really outrageous temperatures here. Look at this, 104 in Seattle. This is a place that's normally in the 60s and 70s. I was just up there a few weeks ago, and it rained on us. It just downpoured for days and didn't crack 60 degrees. Wow, really unusual. Huge heat dome just parked over there, and it's just to the north of here, that heat dome. That's why we're not having the record-breaking heat here, but our friends in Boise are. 92 now in Salt Lake, 89 in Lehigh, and 83 here in Nephi, 100 in St. George, 75 in Bryce. Now, it's definitely warm, but we're not in that record-breaking category at all. Satellite imagery today shows that we've had clear skies around and a few puffy clouds develop. We hit a high of 93, and our average is 89, so just a little bit above that, but you can see that we're not at that record territory of 105 at all. The bigger picture, though, I want to show you what's going on over New Mexico and over to the great state of Colorado, so you can see this precipitation here. Now, normally we see our weather move right from west over to east, but sometimes you get this backwards flow on the underside of an area of high pressure and the Gulf of Mexico moisture, and when you have that southeast flow come in, it allows for the moisture to move upward. So we'll start to see thunderstorms in southwestern Utah, especially tomorrow, and an increased flash flood risk, and then the rest of us, it'll start to spread northward on Wednesday afternoon. So there's actually a chance for a little bit of rain and some thunderstorms, so that'll bring us some relief. Okay, but for tonight, it should just be clear. It'll be a nice night, a little bit breezy, especially along the canyons. We'll have a little bit of downsloping wind there. 67 degrees in Salt Lake, 53 in Park City, and 57 in Richfield tonight. It'll be warm tomorrow, and then there's that thunder shower activity in the afternoon across the southern portion of the state. 94 in Salt Lake, expecting a dry day again, just warm in northern Utah. So thunderstorms in southern Utah, and another chance for those on Wednesday and Thursday, and then it dries out for the weekend. And in northern Utah, dry on Tuesday, thunder showers on Wednesday, and much warmer moving into the holiday weekend, and it does dry out, but we do have another chance for some afternoon thunderstorms at high elevations also on Thursday and Friday.
It'll save your life when it comes down to it.
First responders in Weber County spent their day practicing saving lives, and their training this time around may be more important than ever. We'll show you why.
More rural hospitals are being forced to close, and others are taking extreme measures to stay out of foreclosure.
Filming movies in a fully operational hospital that should be saving lives.
The help hospital owners say they need now.
United Airlines is close to buying $30 billion worth of new airplanes.
That's right. Reuters says the company will be buying up to 200 Boeing 737 MAX jets and 70 A321neo planes, all coming from Airbus. The announcement could be made at a United investor event tomorrow. Now, if it happens, it will be the airline industry's biggest since the onset of the pandemic. Southwest Airlines recently ordered more than 100 MAX jets.
A major theme park company is sweetening its offer for summer workers. Six Flags Entertainment says it'll pay a cash bonus of $500 to $1,000 or more to seasonal team members employed as of July 1st who work through September 6th. The company wants them to know how much it values their contributions as it ramps up for one of its busiest periods. The company says every Six Flags park has safely reopened now and hopes the bonus will attract new employees.
That's a nice bonus there.
Yeah.
A rally in tech stocks pushed the NASDAQ and S&P 500 higher today, but losses on the Dow made for a mixed market. The Dow dropped 151 points to close at 34,283. The NASDAQ added 140. The S&P rose 10.
As you can see, one of the vehicles ended up inside the building.
A Utah business experiencing deja vu for the second time in less than a year. A vehicle wound up inside the restaurant. Coming up, what sent a truck careening into the building this time?
The state is pushing to block video of animal rights activists breaking into a factory farm from being shown to a jury. I'll tell you why.
With the number of drownings increasing around the state, some emergency officials are taking extra precautions.
Sarah Murphy shows us how Weber County Sheriff and fire units went into the water today to practice their part.
Stiffness on one, another one with some back pain and no feeling in her legs.
Pulling the unconscious to safety, strapping the injured onto boards, and rescuing weak swimmers.
Can't breathe? Okay.
Weber County Fire and Sheriff's Office were busy. And it was all for practice.
It's really just to get everyone experience and get the safety down for getting patients out of the water that have experienced some type of traumatic injury or a near drowning.
Fire and Sheriff's units have held this water rescue training since 2013.
The better we train, the better we are.
But they say this year,
hey, we just finished our scenario.
The practice is more important than ever.
There's been 8 drownings and 1 near drowning throughout the state already this year. We don't want to see another one.
Behind me, you'll see Pineview Reservoir, which has a depth of about 81 feet. Now, with this depth, workers say there's always a risk of emergencies to happen. So they say in order to be safe and smart, always wear a life jacket.
Know your limits as a swimmer. Life jackets are going to be key as far as safety.
Take a minute and put a life jacket on. It may be uncomfortable, it may be not as cool looking, but it'll save your life when it comes down to it.
Sarah Murphy, Fox 13 News, Utah.
The training exercise happened one day after a man nearly drowned at Pineview Reservoir. Weber County deputies say the 25-year-old man jumped into the water to help his brother at Swim Beach near Cemetery Point yesterday afternoon. That man went under the water and did not resurface for 5 to 10 minutes. At last check, he was in critical condition. His brother was able to get out and is expected to be okay. Bystanders then pulled the 25-year-old from the water. This incident came after 2 drownings at Pineview Reservoir in recent months.
A Midvale burger restaurant now cleaning up again after a vehicle slammed into their building. Today, investigators say a truck and car collided at 7800 South State Street. The impact sent the truck into B&D Burgers. This afternoon, Unified Fire's heavy rescue crews made sure the building was secure before allowing anyone back in.
Right now, we're just trying to shore up the building so that they can reoccupy the building and get the repairs done.
Luckily, no one was inside at the time. The driver of the truck was not injured. The business owner will need an engineer to okay the building before they can reopen to the public. And this is not the first time, as I mentioned, B&D Burgers was forced to repair their building after it was hit by a vehicle in August of last year.
We're learning more about the victim of a deadly plane crash in Cache County over the weekend. Family members say 64-year-old Don Gershevsky was flying the plane that crashed into a house in North Logan Saturday night, killing him. The plane is still in that backyard. The NTSB hopes to have it removed soon. Investigators say why this plane crashed is still a mystery that could take months to solve.
We've now learned a man who was shot at a Motel 6 in Midvale over the weekend has died. Police say 30-year-old Tyler Allen Williams of Ogden passed away early this morning. Reports of shots being fired came in early Sunday morning. When police arrived, they found Williams. Officers say a suspect is now in custody. In Beaver today, a judge is deliberating whether animal welfare activists can offer a unique type of defense for the crimes they're accused of.
It involves a high-profile break-in at a factory farm in Milford. Fox 13's Ben Winslow has more.
The Utah Attorney General's office is asking a judge to block a pair of activists from offering a justification of their actions or even showing a jury a video of it. Members of the group Direct Action Everywhere are facing charges of burglary and theft. They're charged with breaking into Smithfield Foods' Circle 4 Farms in Milford back in 2018 and taking a pair of piglets. The group posted video of it all online.
In reality, this is about preventing the public from finding out what's happening behind Smithfield's closed doors.
Wayne Xiong is among those charged. The Utah Attorney General's office has filed a motion to limit any discussion of the conditions in the farm and block the entire video from being shown to a jury. The state says allowing the defense to have discussion of the conditions of animals would mislead the jury and appeal to undue passions. The Attorney General's office goes on to say the court would be left to instruct the jury that references to those conditions and the ultimate plight is not a defense to criminal conduct, leaving the jury confused.
Their main intention has been to stop us from criticizing Smithfield. And this is part of a broader pattern, including the state ag-gag law, where the industry has tried to suppress accurate, truthful information about the horrible conditions animals are enduring and the real risk to public health.
The Utah Attorney General's office declined to comment, but its filings show it's trying to limit the defense to whether or not the activists broke into the farm, something that's clearly on video.
And what the prosecution is doing is really an attack on whistleblowers, not just animal rights activists.
In court, defense attorneys questioned why the state would want to exclude the video of the burglary itself because they're worried about a jury's feelings.
I think normal people can watch that without going completely bananas.
Allow the parties to hand select still photos in place of the video.
The judge says she'll consider the arguments before making a ruling.
The court does not intend to make any decisions based upon the embarrassment of a particular party or convenience or anything that is not a legally sound basis.
The activists are pushing for a jury trial. Now, another interesting thing came out of court today. The defense is asking the judge to force Utah Attorney General Sean Reyes himself to issue a declaration about whether anyone from Smithfield Foods has contributed to his political campaigns. On the Hill, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Utah does have a mixed history of the necessity defense. It's most commonly used in self-defense cases, but some legal actions include a woman who tried to use it when she was convicted of vandalizing the Utah State Capitol to call attention to homeless issues. Environmental activist Tim DeChristopher tried to use it in federal court after he was convicted of sabotaging an oil and gas auction. He was blocked from calling attention to climate change. Now, prior to Utah's medical cannabis laws, it was also cited for marijuana possession for people who claim to be patients.
Still to come, rural hospitals are shutting down at alarming rates, and there are concerns it's costing people their lives. The extreme measures some hospitals are taking to avoid foreclosure.
And it's been warm, breezy, and dry. Is it ever going to rain again? It looks likely so. We'll have your forecast, but first, here's today's almanac.
Hospitals in some of the poorest parts of the country are shutting down at record numbers. 20 rural emergency rooms have closed in the last year alone.
And Bob, some experts say lives are being lost because of that. Chris Conte shows us how some hospitals are trying desperately to hold on for the communities they serve.
There are corners of this country fit for the opening montage of a movie. But the script given to Johnny Priestley is one he's desperate to rewrite.
It's almost discriminatory.
The 52-year-old bought Cumberland River Hospital in Salina, Tennessee 2 years ago. He was briefly able to open it last year before having to close.
Fully functioning hospital. Pharmacies even still staffed with full medicines.
With COVID cases in this county of 7,600 people spiking last fall, the only ER within a 90-mile radius was gone.
It is insane. The people of the rural Appalachia are having to travel an hour to an hour and a half to get health care. And that's just truly, you see that in third world countries. It should not be happening here in the United States.
Johnny Priestley is still waiting on nearly $2 million in reimbursements from insurance companies. CARES Act money allocated in December by the federal government meant for hospitals like this one went elsewhere in the state.
Well, it's very discouraging because we had worked very intently to get the facility opened.
So here sits Cumberland River Hospital, silent and empty, in the middle of a pandemic.
There's no doubt in my mind that people ended up dying that may not have had to have died because of their lack of access to health care in the rural communities.
By some estimates, hospitals could still be looking at $53 billion in lost revenue for 2021.
We're going to see a lot of closures. I think the pandemic is going to really ravage a lot of rural facilities.
Brock Slaybach is with the National Rural Health Association. To help rural hospitals on life support, they're lobbying the Biden administration to revive the White House's Rural Health Council, stop cuts to rural Medicare payments, and help get more doctors into some of this country's poorest hospitals.
It creates what I refer to as a downward spiral.
2020 was a record year for rural hospital closures. 20 shuttered their doors during the pandemic. A staggering 181 emergency rooms have closed since 2005. Most have been in states that haven't expanded Medicaid.
the longer that you're closed, the increasing complexity of reopening becomes.
I'm sitting out here with no support from our state or federal government.
Johnny Priestley's expenses are running him around $12,000 a month. He's drained every ounce of his personal savings. So to keep from foreclosure, he started renting the hospital out to movie production crews.
Filming movies in a fully operational hospital that should be saving lives.
When hospitals across America are forced to become movie sets just to stay alive, people like Johnny Priestley can't help but wonder how the script for a horror film became a real-life nightmare.
We just need the federal government to step in and say, we've got to reopen these facilities.
In Salina, Tennessee, I'm Chris Conti.
Salt Lake City just gave police a big pay raise. Just how, though, does Salt Lake and Utah, for that matter, compare when it comes to paying police? We have the numbers after the break.
So glad you could join us for Fox 13 News Live at 5. Meteorologist Dina Friedman will have our first alert forecast in just a few minutes.
Glad you're with us tonight, everyone. The Utah Highway Patrol now asking drivers to slow down after stopping one motorist for going more than twice the speed limit on the freeway in Orem.
Yeah, this is amazing. UHP Major Jeff Nyberg tweeted, this driver was going 145 miles an hour, even though the speed limit in that part of the freeway was 70.
Wow.
Nyberg wrote, at last week's press conference, we asked for the public's help with slowing the speeds down on the freeway. This was not what we were talking about. We can do better, he wrote.
After losing 63 officers to retirements and resignations, Salt Lake City Mayor Aaron Mendenhall announced big pay raises for the capital city's police department over this past weekend.
Today, Fox 13's Max Roth goes in depth to show how much police in Salt Lake City and beyond are paid.
We wanted some perspective on police pay in Utah after Salt Lake City Mayor Aaron Mendenhall's announcement Friday of an immediate 30% raise for entry-level police officers.
Let me be clear. The most important job of every city is to keep its residents and its businesses and visitors safe.
The current starting wage in Salt Lake, about $21 an hour. That goes up to about $26. An annual change from under $44,000 a year to over $54,000 a year to start. Senior officers get a 12% increase, going from an average $35 per hour to $39, or about $73,000 to over $81,000 a year. The Bureau of Labor Statistics keeps data on wages in all industries. In Utah, police in the Salt Lake Valley make a median just over $30 an hour. The St. George Metro is next in Utah, just under 27. Provo and Ogden Metros are similar, both under 26. And they reported Logan as the lowest median wage at about $24 an hour for Utah Metros. Now, compared nationally, Utah's officer pay is lower than average, with a statewide median of $27.52 an hour. 30 states pay better. Salt Lake City's move is meant to change a dangerous trajectory. The Salt Lake metro area is one of 5 with over 1 million residents in the mountain region of the U.S., and its median police pay is 4th out of those 5. Tucson is 5th, Denver 1st. But let's look at how much it costs to live. That Tucson paycheck goes a lot further towards rent. Treat these numbers like percentages. 100, the national average. Above that, you pay more. Only in Denver were rents more expensive than in Salt Lake. Another way to look at those numbers, rent in Denver is 27% more expensive, while Denver police average 41% more pay. This move from Salt Lake City will change those metro-wide median numbers because SLPD is by far the biggest department in the state. Even Unified PD has a smaller force. In the newsroom, Max Roth, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Talk about a positively Utah way of stopping a disaster. Look at these people here. Wasatch County firefighters posted a picture of this group on social media over the weekend. After these people saw a brush fire near Provo Canyon, they went out of their way to try and put it out, lend a helping hand before firefighters got there.
Wow.
They kicked dirt. They even dumped their water bottles on the flames right off the side of the highway. Wasatch County Fire urges you to report any violations you may see and to always keep your eyes out for any dangerous conditions issues during the fire season.
Well, we can all do our part, and congratulations to that group right there.
Could have made a big difference there.
Yeah, sure could have. Hey, the heat wave up in the Northwest, is that headed our way again, Dina?
No, we have a different set of circumstances bringing our heat on the second half of the holiday weekend. But the heat dome that's off to the north, we'll show you some numbers here, but it's pretty locked in place to where it is. Deer Valley, a mountain camera right now showing you how low our water levels are here at Jordanelle Reservoir. Wow. And so here's what Bob was talking about, this heat that's up in the Pacific Northwest. You can kind of see it cornered up here in Seattle and up into Idaho and Oregon. We've got temperatures there around 100 degrees. And this area of high pressure that's here is just meandering off to our north. So we're not seeing the intense heat here. We're just off to the south of it, even though Boise, just 5 hours north of here, well over 100 degrees today. This afternoon, though, sunshine and a few fair weather clouds starting to develop, but we're not getting any rain out of those. It's still pretty warm and dry. 92 in Salt Lake. It's still nice in Park City. 77 there, not bad. 87 in Provo. Temperature around 100 in St. George. We're in the 80s in Green River and 95 over in Elko. The average high for today is 89. We did hit 93, but our record, we are not in jeopardy here. It is 105, and we're not close to that. Here's the big picture, though. Across the western United States, you can see that there's precipitation over New Mexico and getting into that Four Corners area. Now, this is all going to start moving into southern Utah. So by tomorrow afternoon, as we have high pressure off to our east, and we have the southeasterly flow, because flow around high pressure moves in a clockwise direction, so you can see how that's going to circulate up. We'll start to see that increase in moisture, especially across southern Utah, where there's elevated flash flood risk as well, especially across the southwestern portion of the state. Now, statewide on Wednesday, we have a much better chance at getting some convection, in other words, thunderstorms to fire. So that'll be really exciting. Have a change to some weather on Wednesday afternoon. Keep your eyes to the sky for good clouds, definitely. 67 degrees, though, tonight. Clear skies. Those clouds will start to diminish as the sun goes down tonight. 60s in Salt Lake, 78 in St. George. Now, tomorrow, there's the thunderstorms in the afternoon across the southern portion of the state. Still hitting the 90s in St. George. 94 in Salt Lake. Should be mostly sunny in the northern half of the state for tomorrow. So southern Utah, you've got the thunderstorms tomorrow. Watch out for that flash flood potential. No watches just yet. And then it dries out on the holiday weekend for July 4th, around 100 degrees. And then in northern Utah, the best chance for storms is going to be on Wednesday, and then some high elevation storms Thursday, Friday. Hot and dry on the July 4th weekend. We haven't pulled the 100 out yet, but wouldn't be surprised to see that happen in the next couple of days. So it'll dry out, but best chance for rain around here is going to be Wednesday afternoon.